Hello everyone and welcome to Geek Anime channel. I'm your detective host Igor and we are continuing to analyze Silo season 2 episode 2, a conflict between order and freedom. And this is why I decided to divide my analysis to two parts. The first will be about the order, which is led by Bernard, and the second one will be about freedom, which is basically led by the whole rebellion movement in the OG Silo. So, before we begin, as usual, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon and on YouTube. Your donations is what make this channel possible. And I want to welcome a new member, Beacon of Light, Paul Tannenholz. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, Paul. I'm glad to see you in our small community. Now, let's dive in. Just to remind you, this is not a recap. I'm not going to go through all of the events of the episode. I'm just gonna go stop on every point of interest for me and hopefully for you that will help us to understand this world better and be prepared for future things to come. Now in this image we can see that Bernard is in the middle of the server room. He is watching live stream from Juliet's helm and he can see everything that she sees. He can see all the bodies, like everything that happened to her. Now also in this moment you can already see that there are some kind of boxes here that have numbers 104, 604. It's hard to understand whether it's some kind of a storage or maybe, I don't know, never been to a server room. Maybe you need to number all the servers so you will know how to maintain them. But once again, just small detail that I noticed. And also you can notice that there's no keyboard, there's no mouse, there's no any controller. And this means that this is a very advanced technology. Like when I was doing my review of the first season, by the way, please check this video because I had to upload it, re-upload it, and then re-upload it again. So, but it's a good video, I promise you. It's gonna be in the summary and in the pinned comment. Anyway, when I was doing this video, I would jokingly say that whatever cataclysmic event happened in in this world, it was probably somewhere in the early 2000s or something like this, because otherwise it would be way more advanced. But here we can see that this is a very advanced technology. Even now in 2024 we barely have something that's been operated in that manner just by the voice of somebody who speaks. We have obviously voice recognition, but most of you will agree with me that it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. Meanwhile, anyway, another interesting thing here is we can see that Bernard is reading a book called The Order, and this is one of the main themes of this episode. We have somebody who tries to protect the order, and we have somebody, the other force, who wants to create chaos, or if you may call it, freedom. So he reads from the book and we can see that there are some titles there. So it's basically like an instruction for someone who wants to control the silo. So in the event of a failed cleaning, prepare for war. This failed cleaning action plan is provided only as a guide to help mayoral and judicial and employees/raiders comply with the requirements of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration Silo Emergency Action Plan Standard 33 Code of Silo Regulations, and then it becomes blurry. So it's an instruction book. I tried to read a little bit more here. The only thing I was able somehow to understand, there is this silo war plan, something. The small font is completely unreadable here. So this is an instruction book and it's supposed to tell Bernard what to do in every situation. So this moment I was kind of thinking maybe Bernard is not that smart. Maybe every time he is in a bit of a shamble, he goes to this place and he's like, what should I do if the toilet is clogged or something like this? But he's gonna surprise me later this episode in a very good manner. Now, as you can see, while he's running back already to check what is going on, what's with the siren, with the alarm, this is the same, exactly the same room we have seen in the previous episode. This is the server room, and the guy with the different set of eyes that was threatening Juliet, he is the Bernard of the previous place. So I was right about that. Yay, good for me. Anyway, like as I told you, this is the same place, like one to one. So whatever silos were structured and built, they were all built on the same blueprint. So it's copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And then the design maybe can be a little bit different, depends on the people that are living there. Yeah, so this is the guy, as I told you. Now, this moment is also important a little bit for me because we can see that Bernard is hearing the alarm. When he's running back, Sims telling him that Juliet, she passed the tree, she passed the hill, and this is why they sounded the alarm. So we've just seen Juliet already entering the other silo, and a couple of seconds passed and suddenly there is the alarm. So logically we can assume that not that much of a time has passed since Juliet left, and this is why this is the moment when I was talking about in the previous review. Probably she came from here, even though you cannot see the tree. Maybe tree is also a hologram, so she probably came from here because she wouldn't be able to cover that much of a territory if it didn't pass that much time. Maybe she came from here, maybe from the up or from the down, but it's definitely a neighboring silo, so she will be able to come back probably through the tunnel on the lower levels, the one that George was able to find in the previous season. So here in this moment, also a small tiny detail that maybe some of you have missed is when Bernard tells Sims to follow, to put some eyes on Juliet's father. After that, when he's leaving to take care of a baby, we are seeing some dude here basically standing and following him. So it didn't have any development in this episode, but probably it's preparing us for something. We are seeing the main roles of the future rebellion. Looks like it. We are seeing people that's gonna be probably in the front lines of the rebellion, and maybe the father of Juliet, losing his daughter not in a very fair way, let's say it like this, probably is not going to be very happy with the administration of this place. So we have also the Judge Meadows, who is getting some new development in this season. In season 1 she was basically a puppet. She was completely useless, she was just there. She was manipulated and controlled by Sims and Bernard. And here we can see that she was drunk for 25 years. By the way, what happened 25 years ago that made her become an alcoholic? And probably it was some kind of a significant event, maybe a loss of somebody from the family, but she's definitely feels trapped in this place. And drinking alcohol is a sort of escapism for her. So yeah, for example, this moment, it was a little bit weird for me. Something doesn't really work for me here, and I'm becoming a bit suspicious about this, because Bernard says that someone was gonna figure that out sooner or later. When he talks already to Judge Meadows, he says that, the tape, they used finally the good tape, and somebody was gonna figure it out sooner or later. And then, a couple of minutes later, he's saying the founders never imagined it would be possible that somebody will actually go over the hill. So somebody would find out about the tape sooner or later. It was about to happen. It was bound to happen, sorry. And then the founders, the genius founders, who basically thought about every little detail, for some reason didn't think about the possibility that somebody will use a better tape. It wasn't like, James Bond kind of move. It was pretty much two old ladies, switching the tape under the nose of everybody, without doing some once again like Ethan Hawke or something like this. So is it really some kind of a mistake, or maybe Bernard is planning something and he's not revealing it yet? Because later he's gonna show us that he's far from just some guy who reads instructions and follows them. He is very, very smart and capable, and this is one of the reasons why I love this show. I hate TV shows and movies where the villain is a moron. He has to be very capable and very smart for us to be entertained. And it's good we have somebody like Bernard here. So another interesting moment we should probably remember is the relic, the ducky toy with the toy dispenser, the candy dispenser. And when Sims asks him, was it important? And Bernard says that it wasn't important, but it is important now. And once again it works a little bit with my suspicion that maybe he has some kind of a plan that he's not revealing to anyone, not to Meadows, not to Sims, and hopefully this is the case. I would love him to be the mastermind, the evil mastermind that basically, can run circles around everybody, which will be interesting. Anyway, we're moving forward and we have a conversation between Judge Meadows and once again him, and they're talking about the order, and we understand that Sims, who is probably the closest one right now to Bernard, have no idea about order, but she does. She's definitely not a puppet, she's definitely not just a role to be there, to present there. She at least was very important in the past, and we're gonna learn more from Bernard that she was his shadow before. She has also been in the vault, so she knows about, the future technologies, she knows exactly what happens outside, but she is trapped. She's trapped in this place. That is something that happened 25 years ago, made her wanna leave this place so much, but she can't, since once again it's very, very dangerous. So another interesting thing here about the whole situation is that, if you remember, in season 1 Sims really wanted to be Bernard's shadow, and it wasn't presented to us like he is just trying to climb the career ladder or something like this. No, him and his wife, they were very, very vigilant about it. This is the only way. You have to become the shadow. Even in this conversation, she's like saying, it has to be you. She's saying it like, what are the other options? Who else can it be? But once again, we are presented with this theme. And once again, as I told you about Bernard, who has some kind of a secret plan, obviously Sims and his wife have some kind of secret plan. They have some kind of a internal motive that they are not revealing why Sims is the one who has to become the shadow. I think so. Maybe it's gonna be explained as, that they just want to be, the main guy, the big guy, the one that has all the power, because that's it, because they need to protect their family. But something tells me there's just a little bit more here. Anyway, we're moving forward, and let's examine the books that Judge Meadows have in her room. She has probably the Pact. I wasn't able to read it, but it doesn't look like the order book from from the server room, but it has the symbol of the silo, so it's probably the Pact. She also have like English dictionary, Collins dictionary. She also have some math books. But what is interesting, once again, her drive towards freedom. Like, look at the books. This is the story of Beowulf. We can see it here. If you remember, this is a mythology story about a guy who was like slaying dragons, and you can see the movie if you don't want to read the book. But also we have the Voyage of Argo. This is Greek mythology. Once again, an adventure of people trying to find the Argo, the magical Argo, whatever, the golden one. And here we have the Wizard of Oz, obviously, the book that she presents to Bernard, and she's saying about the Wizard of Oz, and she is the fraud that wants to escape her golden cage, because here in this place she always will feel like a fraud. She will feel like she's not really real, and what she really, really wants is to leave this place, is to escape. Like, alcohol is escapism, and she wants to leave this place. She was leaving this place through alcohol. Now she understands that it's possible to leave it without a drop of alcohol, and this is why she quits. Now, why is that important? As I told you, there is a clash of two energies, order and freedom and chaos. And since Bernard is trying to enlist her as his ally, and she is definitely not in the same energy level, she is here for the freedom, she is here to escape this place. I am really doubtful that Bernard made a right choice here. She will probably be part of his downfall. So once again, but there's also like something here. I don't know if you feel it like I do, but there is something in the eyes of a guy who looks at a woman he likes, the same like can be said about a woman who looks at a guy that she likes. And the way Bernard looks at the judge and the way he's standing here also makes me think that he's probably have some kind of feelings towards her. I wouldn't say that about her, didn't see there anything from her part, but it kind of feels like he's having some kind of a small crush on her. And she's saying that she wants to go out. And this is not even the first time that somebody says that they want to go out in this place. And it's already a big switch from the previous season, where they showed us many times how important those words are. If somebody says that they want to go out, they have to go out. And she's saying that she wants to go out, and we can be 100% sure that in the next episode, or whatever episode is gonna come back to this storyline, we're not gonna see Bernard running around and screaming lock her up, and she has to go outside. This is not gonna happen. So we finished with the order, and let's talk a little bit about the freedom, William Wallace, chaos, and so on. So we have the rebellion, and we have already the symbol of Juliet leaves everywhere in this silo. Even it's like a couple of minutes passed, a couple of days passed, and there are already a lot of the symbols about Juliet. In the beginning I thought it's pie. like there is some kind of a math genius or math geek. He's like, yeah, 3.14 something, yeah, pi. But it's Juliet leaves. And this one, as I told you, I can explain to you why Bernard wouldn't send Judge Meadows to go to clean, but this is not a very important character or not a very important person in the silo, and she's screaming, I want to go out, and a lot of people are like yelling, yeah, and the sheriff there is like, no, 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 shut up, nobody wants to go out. So once again, there is already a different silo. It's not the one that it was before, and it's never will be. Rules change. So we can also see that Paul, even though he was placed as a sheriff, just like, you know, Judge Meadows, to be a puppet of Sims, because he let it go that he have this disease, you know, the one that made his hands to shake. So once again, you should be in line, otherwise you will be fired. But Paul is definitely a good guy. Even though he really cares about his job, he saw the book, he took one page with him, he knows that Julia didn't really want to leave, he will probably keep digging, and at some point of the story he will not be able to live with himself in this lie. So Paul is gonna be part of the rebellion, 100%. Now, I just enjoyed the Spartacus moment here, you know, Juliet Nichols, what is your name? I'm Juliet. No, I'm Juliet. No, I'm Juliet. Okay, and here we can see that, you know, Walker is being locked up, and when they lock her up, we can actually see that there are cameras inside. She was obviously locked up with her previous wife by the order of Bernard, and we all were pretty sure that they will be sent to the mines or they will be sent to clean. But this is not something that once again works with Bernard's plan. You know, once again, it's gonna give some reasons for the lower levels to be angry at the upper management. So he's doing something way more clever. He's, you know, talking about his speech. He's saying that they invented a new tape. And here, also later, when they touch hands, they actually, like the director and the editor, showed to us that the cameras are kind of focused on that. So it's kind of telling to us that Bernard right now knows where to push. He has a leverage. He knows who is very important to both of those women. And if they will decide to talk truth and tell that they were the one to replace the tape, first of all, they will have to convince somebody, but even if they will be able to do so, there is a big leverage on them. You can, you know, threaten somebody who they love, like the Walker and her previous wife. So here, when they are like released, there was an interesting moment for me here. Like, I'm just a little bit of a geek about those things. Not a little bit, I'm very much of a geek here. So I just checked the board here behind Hank, and it's kind of interesting, but I couldn't understand what the hell is that. There was like the numbers, probably this is the number of the floor. We know that the lower levels are like 114, 120 and so on, but what are those, you know, two letters, ACCC, SFDD? Because this is the sheriff's office, I thought maybe it's some kind of a short for some kind of a crime, like TH, this is theft, but what are the others? And there are probably some kind of names here. Once again, it's not important to the story, but I always think about it like somebody was working on that. Somebody put their heart and soul in this. Somebody who was working on the stage. They knew they had to present the board for a couple of seconds, but they put probably a couple of hours from their life to make it look as real as possible. And whenever I see something like this, I want to like give it a little bit of respect to somebody who was working on that, because this is awesome. This is what creates the living world. Not just a TV show, not just a stage, something that feels alive when we see it. Now, anyway, let's move forward. Now we have some of the writings on the walls where, you know, the lower levels already trying to plan some kind of a rebellion. And we can see again the eye, the drawing of an eye. We've seen it before in season 1, sorry, in the previous episode, when Juliet was remembering going on the lowest of the levels. There was an eye, and then Shirley said that it was made by those who created the silo. She didn't say it, she said it was way before the rebellion, the one from 140 years ago. So it probably was even way before the cataclysmic event, whatever happened that created this kind of a post-apocalyptic world. So the eye is kind of repeats itself, so it kind of have to have some meaning. You know, we see it also here in this scene, in the I'm Spartacus scene. We can see it like the spiral here, by the way, also gonna repeat itself. We can see the eye, as I told you, and also here in this the same place, we can see here also we have a spiral, okay, and we can see some of the very negative And we can also see some very negative words here. We can see here like will die, we can see screamed, we can see whatever relers, I have no clue what the hell is that, no idea, bow or something like this, but it doesn't feel like, you know, a positive way to spend your time. There were some very angry people here, so probably it was left by the people who led the rebellion 140 years ago. I think this is very interesting, and hopefully they will provide for us more of the screens, more of the shots from these places where I can analyze them a little bit better and have a better understanding of what actually happened 140 years ago. So this moment was also, I have no idea if it has any kind of importance here, but it doesn't look like a generator, and this guy on a wheelchair who I remember from sex education, and he's actually, you know, like building something. Either they're maintaining something or they're building something. And since Nox asked him not to build new weapons, maybe they are creating something, and whatever it is can be actually helpful, because we are going towards a rebellion. I think nobody have any doubt about that. It's gonna happen, whether it's gonna be this season or it's gonna be the next one, but it's going to happen. And maybe this structure, whatever the hell is that, I'm not an engineer, maybe it's gonna be somehow important. Or maybe somebody is right now writing a comment like, Igor, you're a moron, this is the same generator we have seen in season 1, even though it kind of looks a little bit different. But maybe I'm wrong. Now, what is interesting here also is what is the second ask? Like Nox, and he kind of like been antagonizing Shirley, you know, other way around. Shirley's been antagonizing Nox because he was the one to tell on Juliet, because like logically, they already knew that she is in the lower levels and they would probably tear down the whole lower levels to find her. So he just did whatever was necessary to save the lower levels. But you know, Shirley cannot understand this. Also, she's kind of right and he's kind of right. He's right because I told you already why he's right. And she's right that the rebellion is gonna happen anyway. But once again, probably the moment when, you know, they were like coming for Juliet when everybody else was unprepared, it was probably a good decision from Nox's part to actually, you know, hold it down and give the administration whatever they wanted. But he's asking something from this guy, and it's gonna be very important. Nox is gonna try to do everything in his power to stop the rebellion. It's not gonna happen, it's not gonna help. Probably he's gonna be one to join the rebellion also. He is the leader, he have those qualities. I would love to see him being in the front lines of the rebellion, and I don't think he's gonna be the bad guy like sometimes the show's trying to present him. He's obviously have good intentions. So whatever the second ask is, we have to remember, because it's gonna be very interesting, and I don't know when it's gonna be important. And maybe gonna be like in the last episode of the season, we're gonna see this guy again and we're gonna remember and gonna have finally some kind of a catharsis moment there. Maybe, I don't know, but it's just something that we have to keep in mind. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I try to make it as entertaining and as fast as possible. I don't want to do recaps for you. You just watched this episode a couple of days ago. You remember it very, very well. And I thank you so much for watching this video until this moment. If you want to support it in any way that feels normal, like relevant or fair to you, amazing. If not, just by watching until this moment, I'm already very, very appreciative of what you have done, because I made this video for you to watch it. Everything else is just a bonus. And by the way, since we're already finishing the video, I have to say something very, very quick. I keep telling you that if somebody wants to support my channel financially, like on Patreon or on YouTube, you can do so. Only please, and this is a request, when you have the absolutely financial ability to do this. So the reason I'm saying this again, because I sometimes read comments like, hey man, I enjoy your content and I would love to support, but I'm broke right now. Please, even if you're not broke, even if you're like living from paycheck to paycheck and you're not like, nothing here in this channel demands your financial support. I promise you, I have enough food on the table, I have the roof on top of my head, I don't need anything else. When you want and you have the ability, this is when it's welcome. If you are pushing yourself and stretching yourself for this support, please don't do it. I don't feel comfortable with this, and I will never feel comfortable with this. Take care of yourself, of your family, of your favorite charity, of everything around you. Buy yourself whatever you want, and if you left some money that you want to use in order to support this channel, only then consider it. This is my request. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you on the next one. Bye!